Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, Tasmania's major political parties have been left to face the consequences of 2 separate controversies as they scurry to keep their election campaigns on track. Our reporter Meg Sides joins us now to explain what unfolded today. Meg, it's been a tough day on the campaign trail for both the Liberal and Labor parties.
That's right, Kim. We'll have more on the Liberal Party shortly, but first, it's been a particularly hard week for Labor. First, it faced criticism over the highly controversial decision not to endorse Kingborough Mayor Dean Winter. But today, things got even tougher after it was revealed Labor made a secret deal with the peak hospitality body in support of poker machines. That's a major backflip on the policy it took to the 2018 state election when it pledged to ban them from pubs and clubs.
It was the pillar of Labor's 2018 election campaign.
An elected majority Labor government would seek to remove poker machines from pubs and clubs from 2023.
Now a spectacular backflip, the Labor Party striking a secret deal with the peak hospitality body in support of poker machines.
I'm confident that we've been able to achieve good outcomes with those in the hospitality and tourism sector of the work that we have undertaken since the last election.
Refusing to release the details of the agreement.
It's not a public document.
Until this afternoon, finally circulating the document to the media, a memorandum of understanding with the THA signed by Rebecca White and David O'Byrne, saying the Labor Party supports an owner-operator EGM gaming model and the rights of pubs and clubs to operate gaming machines.
The board sat down with me and did the MOU with the Labor people, so it was only kept between a small number of people. But from my point of view, it doesn't worry me at all. It's made the public light of day, to be frank with you, because there's nothing in it that we need to hide.
A move which has shocked the Greens.
It's the most staggering and shameful capitulation of a political party in Tasmania I've seen for a very long time.
Resulting in more questions than answers.
I think it's unacceptable that this was kept secret and that Labor have had to be dragged into the open with it. It certainly begs the question, what other deals have they made in the background?
That Labor has abandoned everyone who at the last state election voted for Labor on the basis of their pokies policy. Labor and the Liberals on pokies are identical.
The Premier says it's unsurprising.
It just seems incredible that they don't seem to be able to make up their mind on anything, to be frank.
It comes as Labor today announces its policy on the Westbury prison site, while touring a TAFE campus at the other end of the state.
Our position is to not build the prison where the government have identified for it to go, which is Birralee Road, to go back to the drawing board, to make sure that we do the proper consultation that's required with the community.
Campaign day, Labor would rather forget.
And Meg, the day wasn't any easier for the Liberal Party.
No, not at all, Kim. A video has re-emerged of Franklin Liberal candidate Dean Ewington attacking the government's COVID policies. Earlier today, the Premier promised to have words with the candidate and it hasn't ended well for Mr Ewington. This afternoon, he abandoned his campaign, stating he cannot see eye to eye with Premier Peter Gutwein. It's arguably the biggest upset for the Liberal Party so far and overshadowed a major announcement.
The Liberal campaign today sailed into shipbuilder Incat.
That was very impressive.
The Premier throwing the company a $100 million lifeline, a loan designed to keep it afloat in rough economic seas. The 500-strong workforce will build a new boat, although it doesn't yet have a buyer.
And they will find a customer or a charter customer for this vessel and will provide interest-free finance for 3 years.
This announcement today gives us the confidence to have the workforce going forward and building a world-class product which we know the market will absorb.
But one Liberal candidate has found himself shipwrecked. Gym owner Dean Ewington gave the government's COVID restrictions a spray in a video previously posted online.
No politician, no bureaucrat, no one has the right to treat us as mugs and to keep us in the dark like they are at the moment. And I've just had enough of it, to be honest.
It sparked fury from Greens MP ROSALIE Woodruff.
As an epidemiologist, I don't understand how Peter Gutwein can put Dean Ewington and public health safety in the same sentence.
There were foreboding words from the Premier this morning.
Look, I'll obviously be having a conversation with Mr Ewington later today.
By the afternoon, the candidate had been muscled out.
Mr Ewington has decided that it would be best for him to resign his candidacy.
In a statement, Mr Ewington said both men respected the right to free speech. But in light of the Premier's strong stance with COVID-19, I feel there are irreconcilable differences given the strong views I hold on this matter. The saga has left the party red-faced over its pre-selection process.
They do social media checking, but this particular video wasn't picked up.
Mr Ewington's replacement is fellow Clarence Alderman James Walker. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian health authorities are pushing for those who visited COVID hotspots to get tested, following 2 more cases of community transmission in Brisbane and another in Byron Bay, which has led to the cancellation of this weekend's Blues Fest. Yesterday's testing frenzy saw Tasmania carrying out 1,477 tests, forcing a new clinic in Kingston to be set up and extra staff to be rostered on in call centres.
I apologise for any inconvenience caused to those that experience long delays and thank everyone for their patience to do the right thing and get tested. Call centres and testing sites around the country faced immense pressure yesterday.
Public Health also urging caution for those with travel plans.
I could imagine anybody planning to travel to either southeast Queensland or northern New South Wales, in fact, could be concerned about the circumstances that are occurring there. So it's not like people might expect the sunny north to be at this time of the year.
As of last night, 25,000 vaccine doses had been administered in Tasmania. A drug dealer who sold the gun used to kill 19-year-old Billy Ray Waters in 2019 has been sentenced to 6 years behind bars. Christopher Lee Brown, who pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact, had attempted to cover up the murder. The victim's sister has criticised the sentence, saying it doesn't go far enough. Reporter Tom Johnson has the details.
Christopher Lee Brown showed no emotion as his involvement in what was described as the brutal and callous killing of 19-year-old Billy Ray Waters was heard in court. Mr Waters was murdered in horrific fashion by teenagers William Adair Rothwell and Jacob Michael Brennan, who abandoned his lifeless body in bushland near Mowbray over a small drug debt. Mr Brown had sold the murderers the gun used in the killing. He was also their drug dealer and provided comfort to the pair following the murder. In today's sentencing, Justice Michael Brett said Mr Brown tried to cover up what had happened by attempting to hide the firearm and returning the victim's house key to his flatmates. Justice Brett said Mr Brown's moral culpability was extremely high and his actions contributed to the long 12-day search for the victim's body. But his sentencing acknowledged a key mitigating factor, that Mr Brown didn't expect the gun he sold would be used to harm Billy Ray Waters. Also taken into account was Mr Brown's early guilty plea and his criminal record, which, although lengthy, lacked crimes anywhere near as serious as this. Today's 6-year jail term has been backdated to his arrest in 2019. Billy Ray Waters' sister Lily wasn't in court today, but told 7 Tasmania she thought the sentence should have been longer. Mr Brown will be eligible for parole in August 2023.
A 37-year-old man has been charged over an alleged knife attack at Howrah overnight. Police were called to Lara Street around 10 p.m, where 2 men suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Both have since been released from hospital.
Any knife injury could easily be critical, and something like this could have been far worse for the people involved.
The man was charged with 2 counts of wounding and will face court in June. Meanwhile, a suspect who police say bashed a man with a weapon in Invermay yesterday afternoon remains on the run. The alleged assault hospitalised the victim, who suffered non-life-threatening head injuries. The attacker fled the scene in a car and is yet to be located. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Drivers are being urged to be safe on the roads this Easter. Ahead of the long weekend, police were out in force on the Tasman Highway today, checking on drivers and making sure their vehicles were up to scratch.
A particular focus as we approach the Easter break is vehicles that are towing other boats, caravans and trailers. We have seen in the past that there have been some defects across that sort of vehicle range.
Operation Crossroads will run from tomorrow until Monday with covert and visible patrols statewide. Dark Mofo's creative director has backed plans for a replacement winter festival entirely organised by Aboriginal groups. The idea comes after a controversial art piece which soaked a Union Jack flag in blood donated by First Nations people was scrapped by organisers. Mona founder David Walsh has now proposed rolling out Black Mofo next year. Festival boss Lee Carmichael today said the project has merit but needs further consultation with Indigenous communities and artists. Rio Tinto has been awarded more than $11,000 to install sonic imaging cameras at its Bell Bay site. The technology, funded by a federal government program, will allow the aluminium smelter to become more energy efficient by scanning for air leakages.
We're very grateful for the grant, and it's part of a larger program of how we reduce our energy intensity on site.
And as an aluminium smelter, it's one of the biggest users of electricity in Australia, and of course energy efficiency is the way we get the cost of energy down and bring down emissions at the same time.
The successful applicants in the program also contribute half the money required for each project. A shortage of Tasmanian hire cars and camper vans has sent prices through the roof on the eve of the Easter long weekend. Some in the industry believe it's causing many tourists to second-guess travel plans, but a radical proposal could become a future solution.
At Avello Wines in Lagana, a bumper grape season and an eye-catching view is hoping to drive tourism.
They like anything that says it's aged or old.
The problem, tourists struggle to drive here as a shortage of hire cars creates headaches days out from the long weekend.
And I think it's very poor of the rental car companies to up the prices when there's a shortage of cars and when tourism needs them.
Figures from comparison website Vroom Vroom Australia show no cars available in Launceston over the Easter period, while in Hobart one is on offer for $410 a day.
A lot of people are struggling to get hold of any hire vehicle, even just general accommodation as well.
Sean Band manages a small-scale business that hires out camper vans. He's been swamped with customers until the end of May.
With the Brisbane lockdowns, we had a couple of cancellations and they've just been rebooked again pretty much like the same day.
The shortage caused by COVID-19 and last year's border closures. Companies were forced to sell off most of their stock to stay afloat. But with travel contained to within Australia, it's left supply at a minimum and demand at a maximum.
It's so incredibly hard to get cars, and it's hard to find out that it's hard to get cars.
Many are now turning to car-sharing platforms to fill the huge void and offer a solution to desperate tourists.
It's like you've pulled them out of a drowning lake. They're so happy.
But those on the industry's front line believe government intervention could be another answer to the state's rental woes.
A grant or even tax benefits would be a huge thing for us, just to help us build and scale up.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
The mainstay of Tasmanian shipping routes has left for its final voyage. The Sea Road Tamer today departed Devonport after 30 years crossing Bass Strait. It's headed for a Mediterranean sea change bought by a European shipping company. Sea Road's replacement charter vessel, MV Lykoot, is due to arrive in the state this Friday. One of Tasmania's most iconic breweries is bringing back an old favourite as demand for beer diversity grows. Launching Cascade's first harvest, farmers say it's now more important than ever for drinkers to know the story behind their brew.
Deep in the Derwent Valley, this is hop season. In the fields, harvesters work to strip the vines. Inside, they're sorted, boxed up, and then it's onto the back of a truck, off to make a new brew.
Only once a year do we bring the crop in, and what a wonderful opportunity to bring this link between beer and agriculture right direct to the beer drinker.
Those same boxes opened at Hobart's Cascade Brewery just hours later, ready to create the new First Harvest beer.
We're working directly with local farmers, so direct that local farmers were involved in the brewing process too.
Once the brew is complete, it's into the kegs and shipped across the state.
I guess what makes it unique is literally on the day that we hand pick, hand pack and hand deliver, we get it ready to throw in the brewing process.
Producers say there's growing demand from drinkers to buy local and know the story behind their beer. Tasmanian Drops increasing in popularity with a fresh hop festival at New Norfolk launched yesterday. As for First Harvest, it's faced its first taste test today.
Grass and really typical fresh hop flavours come through. So this is quite a unique profile for a beer.
Only 350 kegs of this beer will be produced as part of the trial. Brewers say Tasmanians will be able to taste the difference.
Demand is growing for this sort of diversity. The whole empowerment of beer drinkers to seek out the flavours and colours that they love has really changed in the last 10 years.
Bringing hops straight from the paddock to the pub. Next side, 7 Tasmania News.
A 2-year absence is almost over for Glenorchy skipper Braden Webb, who is finally ready to return from a crushing knee injury. While North Hobart and Kingborough will open the season on Good Friday, both sides having plenty of shoes to fill. When you lose last year's best and fairest and leading goal kicker in the off-season, there's no doubt North Hobart has another hill to climb. The skipper is up for the challenge.
You know, we're not looking to rebuild as such, but we're really looking to compete and play finals.
Another young list will lead the D's into 2021 under new coach Clinton French. The D's playing the long game.
We're starting something here that, with Frenchie, that it's not a 1 week at a time. It's across the whole season.
The Tigers are also adjusting after ex-AFL star Kieran Lovell moved to West Adelaide and Mackenzie Willis returned to Southport. They've recruited Eddie Cole from Sydney Uni to help fill the void.
Eddie's had a lot of high-level NEFL experience, which is really good. So, obviously I've been involved with coaching Eddie before back in the Hobart City days. So just to see his growth as a footballer and a person coming back into our program has been awesome.
The club's also relishing the return of its new captain, Lachie Clifford, after an injury-plagued 2020.
Only young, but I feel I can offer plenty in the leadership things and really looking forward to it.
Glenorchy's season starts a week later, given the bye in the first round. You can't blame Braden Webb for wanting to get started, and knee injuries kept him away for nearly 2 years.
Last year, when the delay to COVID happened, I was pretty close to thinking about having a game, but then sort of thought better of it as just trying to get the full range back in the knee and just the risk involved, so I just sat it out.
Paul Kennedy's theory is to empower those in their early 20s to become the leaders of KG5.
I think last year made a lot of them realise, we can't rely on others to do it now. This is our time. We need to step up and set standards.
And as for the State League's detractors,
I know there's a lot of negativity out there and a lot of people want to shoot it down, but the State League is a very good competition, and I suggest or strongly encourage people to get down and actually watch some footy.
Supercar's long-awaited return to Tasmania has been delayed due to Brisbane's COVID outbreak. The Symmons Plains event will be staged on April 17 and 18, a week after it was originally meant to be held. Teams directly affected by the outbreak, including 888 Racing, have moved to a New South Wales-based hub indefinitely. Last year's Tasmanian round was cancelled due to the pandemic.
Good evening. Cressy, Ouse and Launceston now high today with 24 degrees, Hobart 23, Burnie 21 and Devonport 20. Close to or above average temperatures around the state. Campania, Grove and Bushy Park 23, Smithton 22, Friendly Beaches 21, Lyre, Weenie, Strawn and Flinders Island 20 and King Island 19 degrees. Extensive cloud over the west and south today, mostly clear though over the central east and northeast. Speckled cumulus cloud over eastern Australia, active convection cloud across the far north. A frontal band pushes over the Southern Ocean. We can see the cold front with that frontal band right through the bottom of Western Australia through the Southern Ocean, splitting those two highs, one of them over our region. West and northwesterlies tomorrow at 10 to 20 knots, grading to 20 to 30 knots over the south, swells to 3 metres in southern waters. A strong wind warning there from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. Hobart 27 and partly cloudy. Tomorrow a late shower for Cygnet, fine for most of the day, 26 the top and 27 for New Norfolk. Launceston reaching for 25 and mostly sunny. Devonport 23, warming up to 27 in Campbelltown. 24 the high for Burnie, bit of cloud over Strawn, 23 the top and 25 for Smithton. St Helens a high of 26 and mostly sunny, bit of cloud over Swansea, fine and warm, 27, 28 the high for Fingal. And the UV, that's a high 6 for Good Friday Eve. And on Friday, mostly fine and partly cloudy. The chance of an early shower over the south. Fine and becoming windy on Saturday, a late shower over the west. And on Sunday, fine and mostly sunny. Once again, a few showers in the west. 35 in Perth. Partly cloudy there. Sunny in Adelaide and Melbourne. A morning shower forecast for Sydney. A shower or two in Brisbane. A possible storm over Darwin. Cloudy and 20 in Hobart, 18 right now in Launceston, Devonport partly cloudy and 17. Kim, looks like the fine, mild weather will continue.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Merv. And that is your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.